Welcome back to the Takeout. Last week's primary elections quite likely gave Democratic socialists another voice in Congress. Democratic voters in Pennsylvania's Philadelphia-based 3rd District, the most Democratic district in the nation, nominated Chris Rabb. He joins me now. Chris, I'm glad to see you. Thanks for joining the program. You know, in American politics, lots of labels are attached. What we pride ourselves here at the Takeout in is letting people in the political arena describe those labels themselves. So, to start, what's the difference in your mind between a Democratic socialist and a standard garden variety Democrat?
I think the standard garden variety Democrat believes in change, but perhaps not invested in systemic change. I believe as a Democratic socialist, we believe in systemic change, where we have to overhaul entire structures that do not benefit the Epstein class, but in fact benefit average people in ways that have not really been the case ever. And the things that have been most meaningful, that have been embraced by most Americans, are in fact socialist in nature, whether it's Social Security or public housing, public education, on and on, Medicare, Medicaid. These are all socialist things that in a pure free enterprise system, capitalist system, would not exist.
What does that mean as your attitude when you think about CEOs in America and pay disparities between those at the very top of a corporation, either shareholders or, more importantly, the workers who labor for those corporations?
Well, I don't think you need to be a Democratic socialist to realize what is increasingly unjust and unsustainable. I think there are traditional Reagan-era conservatives who would have never imagined that the pay disparities between a CEO and entry-level employee at a corporation would be as disparate as they are today. Even just since the pandemic, the wealth hoarded by the billionaire class is staggering, and yet wages have stagnated for decades. I don't think you need to be a big old lefty to understand that that is deeply problematic.
I know it's a long time ago, but in 2005, you implied that CEOs should be somehow jailed or something like that. Do you still believe that?
I'm not sure what you're referring to.
Yeah, there's a couple of quotes where you were describing that CEOs were part of a class of Americans that should be treated harshly. There was a reference in general to the death penalty. I'm just curious what your overall attitude is about that.
I'm not familiar with that, and I'm actually the lead sponsor of repealing the death penalty. So I don't believe that our government has the moral authority to kill anyone. I'm also anti-militarism, so I'm not sure where that came from. But I do believe that anyone who's responsible for kleptocracy needs to be held to account. And unfortunately, that has become legalized in this nation. We also have to look at the corrosive influence of money in politics, and also something I'm sure you care deeply about, media consolidation.
You talked about militarism. I'd like you, in your own words, to describe the Israeli policy in Gaza and in Lebanon.
Genocide?
Go on.
Asked and answered. I think I am part of a growing set of voices internationally who calls it as we see it. I think we have to stop being complicit in a regime that is doing itself and its citizens no favors. Are Israeli Jews any safer under the current regime and what's led up to it? And the answer is no. And that also includes the so-called incursion into Iran by Netanyahu and Trump. This is not keeping that region or the people in it any safer. And we need to err on the side of diplomacy and not on imperialism.
Does Israel as a state, as a nation state, have a right to exist?
I don't even understand that question. And it's only asked around Israel. I do not understand that question. I think the bigger issue is, do people have the right to coexist in peace and with self-determination? And the answer is yes. But I don't accept the premise of that question.
Why not? Because it's a reality now, and there are some who advocate on the Democratic Socialist side that it should not exist.
I don't speak for anyone but myself, but The only time I've ever heard that question asked of anyone is as it relates to Israel. I've never had anyone ask me that question regarding any other nation, including our own. So do you believe that the United States has the right to exist?
Sure.
Okay, even if it takes over Greenland or Cuba or Venezuela? Right to exist where? I think that's a fair question. And nobody's prepared to have that conversation who asked me questions like that. So I'm not going to answer questions specific to one nation when it's not applied to all. I do not believe in a hierarchy of human rights. I also am not a fan of nationalism. I'm interested in what's best for humanity and the coexistence of people living peacefully and with justice. I do not believe in a tiered system of democracy or government. As someone who descends from 16 great-great-grandparents who withstood slavery and Jim Crow and segregation, my filter for what is right is there's only one standard, and that's justice and shared prosperity.
I appreciate the time, and I appreciate the answers. Chris Rabb, I'll see you in Washington. Thank you very much.
Welcome.